to think about. So let's start. Actually, this week we're starting the series of the 4 different הפטרות. When Chodesh Adar, this year it's a leap year, so it's Chodesh Adar Bet. Chodesh Adar Aleph doesn't count for this, but when Chodesh Adar, the Shabbat before the beginning of Chodesh Adar is הפטרת parashat Shkalim. And then we have, at the end of our series, we always have הפטרת Chodesh, Chodesh Hazeh Lachem, which is before Nisan, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And we have הפטרת Zachor, which is the Shabbat right before Purim. So, and we have Para. So we have a Chodesh, Shkalim, Para, Zachor, a Chodesh.
Yeah, Zachor still comes out, even though it's Adar Bet. The Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar Bet.
No, it's the Zachor is right before Purim.
No, I mean Shkalim.
דיוק. That's why Shkalim we're reading now, because Rosh Chodesh is next week, Be'ezrat Hashem. This Shabbat is Shabbat Mevarchim. Right. So this is, now, we're not reading it today, we're reading it on Shabbat, because it's right before Rosh Chodesh Adar Bet, שבו יחול חג פורים. But what you're going to see in Shul, they're going to read Parashat Vayakel, and Maftir is going to be from Parashat Ki Tisa that we actually just read last Shabbat about the Shkalim. And then the Haftara is not going to be a Haftarat Vayakel, but a special Haftara, soon we're going to learn it, that they're going to read, and it's called Haftarat Shkalim, מתוך ספר מלכים ב', פרק י"ב. אבל אנחנו עוד מעט נלמד על זה. Okay, so first, just to put things in the context of time and place, that's what we're going to be doing. It's very interesting because I want to remind you that why did they even start reading the הפטרות? מאיפה בכלל הגיע כל הסיפור הזה של ההפטרה? We're talking about the times when they were not allowed to read in the Torah. So what did they do? They outsmarted them. They said, okay, we're not going to read Torah, we're going to read from the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim, בעיקר Nevi'im. And they chose different perakim from the Nevi'im that are dealing with the main topics or אירוע של החודש, שזה בעצם מה שקורה עוד מעט, okay? Either the topic of the הפטרה, of the parasha, or a main אירוע שיש בחודש הזה. בסדר? עכשיו זה מאוד מעניין שאיזה נושא הם בחרו להתמקד בו? It's the same topic that we're actually dealing with quite a while from פרשת תרומה, ויקחו לי תרומה. Okay, we're still, כל פעם הם עדיין מסתכלים על איך בנו את בית המקדש. The process of collecting the money for בית המקדש. זה גם מאוד דומה למשהו שבחודש אדר, it says in the גמרא, that in חודש אדר, היו מודיעים על השקלים, היו משמיעים על השקלים. What does it mean? At the time of בית המקדש, in חודש, at the beginning of חודש אדר, היו משמיעים על השקלים, היו מכריזים, they would make announcement that this is the time to donate מחצית השקל, to donate money to בית המקדש. And with the money that they would be able to collect, they would buy different things for בית המקדש, the נדבות, the קורבנות, the קטורת, all kinds of different things that they needed for עבודת בית המקדש. אז זה הנושא שגם קשור לחודש אדר, because at the time of בית המקדש היו משמיעים על השקלים, they would remind עם ישראל to contribute to בית המקדש, and the parashot that we are reading are dealing with the process of building the Mishkan, נכון? From פרשת תרומה, everything that we were talking about, מלבד חטא העגל, of how we build the מקדש. Last week we were speaking about כלי המקדש, the different כלים in the Mishkan, in the בית המקדש. And I think Chazal want to emphasize this point, that we're not talking only about the outcome, okay? אנחנו לא מעוניינים רק במשכן והשראת השכינה. אלא מעניין את חז"ל הדרך לשם, the process, the תרומה, אוקיי? אנחנו לא רק מחפשים פתרון לעם ישראל, איפה הם יפגשו את הקדוש ברוך הוא במדבר, ואחרי זה בארץ ישראל במקדש. זה לא רק התוצאה, זה ממש מעניין. It's really, I can always hear my math teachers saying and teaching that it's not only the result is מה שחשוב. מה שחשוב זה הדרך. Show me that you know how to solve this תרגיל, this problem. אז ממש חז"ל מדברים על זה הרבה מאוד בפרשות האחרונות, ונראה את זה גם בהפטרה של השבוע. אוקיי. אז מה בעצם חז"ל רוצים פה? חז"ל רוצים להגיד לנו שחשוב שהעם ישתתף בבניין, אוקיי? הם רוצים שעם ישראל will be involved, will see it as a goal, will be connected to it spiritually, emotionally, to the building of the Mishkan. Not just getting a ready-made Mishkan that you can order and get and set up, ויש לנו שכינה. רוצים שעם ישראל יהיה מעורב בבניין, וזה נכון לכל דור, אומרים לנו הנביאים. And when you think about it, I think all of a sudden it really makes a lot of sense, because עם ישראל in the desert, בבניין המקדש, if you think about it, they were totally 100% passive. They didn't do anything for themselves. הקדוש ברוך הוא came והוא הביא את המכות, הקדוש ברוך הוא קרא להם את הים, הקדוש ברוך הוא הטביע את האויבים, אני אלחם לכם ואתם תחרישון, מן במדבר, באר מים במדבר, מעמד הר סיני, קפא למהר כגיגית. These people are very, very passive. לא משנה כרגע הסיבה. We're not going to try to understand or criticize or anything. זה לא המטרה. But to really try to understand their emotionally and spiritually, their situation. They are passive. Everything is done for them. Maybe this is the time to also to להזכיר שיש לרב קוק מאמר מאוד מעניין. It's called מאמר הדור. And I'll say it first in Hebrew and then try to think of the words in English. שהוא משווה את ההתפתחות של עם ישראל מרגע יציאת מצרים ועד הכניסה לארץ ישראל לכמו תינוק שנולד. Just like a little baby is born and you have to do everything for him. You pick him up, you change his diaper, you give him a pacifier, you feed him, you burp him וכולי וכולי. You put him to sleep, you wake him up. כאילו ממש מטפלים בהכל. The baby doesn't do anything for himself. Maybe the baby, the only thing that he does is to digest the food that he gets and to digest what's happening to him. וזה ממש מקביל, it's equivalent to עם ישראל. עם ישראל, when they're coming out of Egypt, they're just like this little baby that they need everything to be done for them. אז יש פה גם הכנה פסיכולוגית או חינוכית, הכנה לעם ישראל, לפני שהם נכנסים לארץ ישראל. You're about to go into ארץ ישראל, it's time you grow up. The three little pigs, the mother tells them, you have to go out and make your way in life. Come, let me help you a little bit. Okay? And Chazal want to tell us that this is the beginning of the maturing of Am Yisrael. ויקחו לי תרומה. I want you to be connected. I want you to be involved. I want you to care. I want you to want. Okay? זה השלב של עם ישראל. Yes,
I just want to say that it seems that the few times that there were people who tried to break out of that, Chet Egel, Korach, it was wrong. What they did, the result was wrong.
Because they didn't do it in the right way.
Right.
And their motives were wrong motives. כל העדה נביאים. נכון? And Nadav and Avihu, התלהבו, they had enthusiasm, but they used it in the wrong way.
Right.
אז רגע, איפה הייתי? אוקיי, אז עם ישראל עוברים שינוי, אוקיי? From being passive to being more active, to being involved, to want the things to happen, okay? And actually, it worked. ויקחו לי תרומה. נכון? The Torah tells us that they started contributing and bringing gold and different metals and whatever. עד ויקלה עצמו, till Moshe had to stop them and tell them enough. So when we're thinking about this this agenda, ויקחו לי תרומה, everyone should contribute however he wants, as much as he wants. What are the advantages? Let's think about the advantages and disadvantages of ויקחו לי תרומה. Everyone contributes. מה אתם אומרות? Let's think of a few things. What are the advantages of ויקחו לי תרומה?
Everybody feels part of it.
Everyone feels a part of it. What else?
But it also connects to v'shachanti b'tocham. Okay, that Hashem is going to, Hashem wants to connect to us. So for Hashem to connect to us, we have to connect to Him.
So בעצם, Sal, you're saying another very important advantage of ויקחו לי תרומה. It's also coming from their heart. They really want the connection. They want the intimacy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Mishkan. יפה. אז יש פה מעורבות רגשית של התהליך. מה עוד? איזה עוד יתרונות יש בלבקש תרומה? When I'm talking about ויקחו לי תרומה, it means that they're not being told how much money, how much gold, how do you want to bring
no judgment.
Excuse me?
There's no judgment, meaning everybody has an equal value. Like if this is what I can give, this is just as valuable as what somebody else can give. So there's no judgmental.
There's no judgmental, but I want to say that maybe one of the disadvantages is that it's not equivalent. אין פה שוויון. אחד הביא 100 שקל, אחד הביא חצי שקל. Can they both feel כאילו שתרמנו באותה מידה לבית המקדש או למשכן?
If that's what I think yes, because I think that if somebody has less, but they can only give so much, that's not how Hashem judges it. It's not how it's looked on. Like, you might think that your 5 shekels is not as worthy as the 1,000,000 shekels, but if all you have in balancing, is what you have, sometimes the 5 shekels contribution has a lot more value than the other.
First of all, what you're saying is beautiful, because I gave that same drasha to, I remember when Natan, when he was a little boy, when he was 5, and we were setting up our amuta, and he saw that I was writing out kabbalot to everyone who was contributing to the amuta. So he came over with, I don't know, maybe 2.5 shekel that he had from when his teeth fell out or something. And the fairy gave him some money. And he said he also wants to contribute. And then he said, but I only have 2.5 shekel. And then I gave him the whole speech that Hindi just gave us. And I really believe in it. וזה באמת מאוד מאוד נכון. Having said that, you're talking about a very spiritual level, or the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be judging us. ואת צודקת ב1,000%. It even says in the Gemara, לפום צרה אגרא, as much as you're suffering or as much as you are putting in your מאמץ, according to that you will get your שכר. אבל אני לא רוצה רגע להסתכל על זה מבחינה רוחנית, אלא מבחינה חברתית, socially, how are the people going to feel?
Look, socially, it wasn't as if they were putting up plaques there that X gave X amount of money. Okay, the money, nobody knew where their contribution actually went to. If they gave a zahav, okay, the zahav was used for a number of things in the mikdash. Nobody was able to say, my money went specifically to this. It was all put together and nobody really knew who's giving what.
Nobody knew who was giving what, but how does one, try to think of how does one little person in this system, how does he feel when he knows his rich neighbors, what they gave, and only what he can give?
There's a tactic in the fundraising world today, which I used to work in, where they would have a large group of people sitting in a room, and one person would get up and say, I'm going to give $1 million. Joe, what are you going to give? And then Joe would get up and say, I'm going to give $1 million. Pete, what are you going to give? And then they go down the road like that, and they would embarrass people. Then they'd get to someone who couldn't give $1 million, but he was so embarrassed that he pledged $1 million. So there's like this unhealthy piece of it.
June, first of all, if you were a fundraiser, this show was exactly for you. Second of all, I was just thinking to myself that this way that you're describing is so פסול, והתורה כל כך מתרחקת מזה, ולא פלא שבמקרה נקטת בשמות של גויים, ג'ו, פיט, whatever.
Yeah,
This is not a Jewish thing to do. Soon we'll see what the Jewish thing to do. What is the Jewish thing? What is the way for the Jewish nation to raise money? אז אנחנו רואות שיש גם הרבה יתרונות, there are many advantages, יש התלהבות ויש תרומה ואנשים מביאים, and look, it worked for them in the desert. נכון?
Shira?
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of what Hashem was looking for was this rizuk that they were doing, because you see from the Nisiim, they got punished a little bit because their attitude was ki'ilu, like, you guys do it and let me see what's left over. And then if, there's what to give, we'll also do. And that wasn't what Hashem was looking. He was looking for, I think it was that when they were building the Mishkan and he wanted the Truma, he wanted to know that they had such a love for what was being built that they would give their heart. They would give everything that they, not that the Ki'ilu giving everything they had, but it was that they had such a passion for it. Like when you have like a Truma that you like, that you give to, you really like, you like June was saying, you solicit people to give to it. And I think it was like this rizuk that he was looking for with it.
I don't know, actually, I didn't find any parshanim about this rizut, but really, just like you said, giving with all their heart, to have a goal that is equivalent, for everyone. Everyone wants the Mishkan, everyone wants the connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, everyone is looking for the intimacy, and it worked. LeMoshe Rabbeinu ze avad, until he had to tell them, "Dai, enough." But there's another thing that I also wanted to say that we didn't say yet, the disadvantage of bringing contributions, כל אחד מנדבת ליבו, וזה השגרה, okay, the routine. אז בפעם הראשונה כולם מתלהבים, everyone is saying, yay, wow, זה חשוב, it's important, let's build the משכן. But after you build the משכן, you have to, יש את העלויות השוטפות, שוטפות is like continuous money that we need to pay for the different things that we use in the Mishkan or Beit HaMikdash. If you are asked to donate money to some place and they're going to tell you it's not for building it, it's just for paying for the salary for the cleaner and paying for the chashmal and paying for the water, כבר אין כזה חשק.
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of fundraising. Nobody wants to give for the shotei, for the upkeep of the continuous upkeep of something.
בדיוק. אז זה אחד החסרונות הגדולים של ויקחו לי תרומה. Okay. Now, we're trying, בוא ניקח עוד צעד אחד קדימה. התורה מנסה לאזן את המסר של ההתנדבות של בניין המקדש בפרשת תרומה with this הפטרה. Okay, what does it mean? We see that it worked in the מדבר, אבל מבינים שיש לזה יותר מדי, there are too many disadvantages, ולכן מנסים לתקן את זה. Okay, and this is what they're doing פרשת שקלים. פרשת שקלים, they would raise money from the עם, everyone had to come and give in a half a shekel, מחצית השקל. Okay? Every person in Am Yisrael, he doesn't bring as much as he wants. וירימו לי תרומה, ויקחו לי תרומה. לא, זה כבר לא תרומה. זה כבר מחצית השקל. Okay? זה כבר חובה. Every person has to bring in this money. It's like a tax. Okay? דווקא של מחצית השקל, of course, it's much easier. If you think about it, let's say you need 1,000 shekel for Beit HaMikdash. It's much easier to find one or two people that each one is going to give 1,000 shekel or 500 shekel, v'shalom el Yisrael, and we have all the money that we need. Now you have to go to every family and each one has to bring a half a shekel. It's a lot of work, okay? אבל I want to remind you שהמטרה, the goal, is not really the money at the end, okay? המטרה היא האיזון והשותפות. People should feel equal. People should feel that they are contributing, that they are participating, that they have equal parts, okay? Chazal asked, why dafka machatzit shekel? Maybe you spoke about it a little bit in this parasha, but I'll just say two short things. Machatzit shekel, first of all, is to understand that you are never whole. You're only a half a person, כביכול, not a half a person, but להרגיש את הצורך בעוד מישהו שישלים אותי לשלם. Okay, we talk a lot about that in זוגיות, okay? ברמה של אני לא יכול להיות שלם בעצמי. I was actually having a very interesting conversation with one of my mitamnot, and she's about to get engaged. And she said, I really understand why I had to wait till the age of 27 to get engaged, because I wasn't ready for that. And when we spoke about what does it mean wasn't ready, so we spoke about the fact that you can only get to a certain state of tikkun when you're on your own, when you're a ravaka. And when you're inside a זוגיות, נפתח לך עולם שלם ומרחק גדול לתקן, כשיש לך עוד מישהו ביחד איתך בתוך המערכת הזאת. And when I'm saying עוד מישהו, it could either be a partner, it could be, a spouse, a partner, it can be your children, someone that's very intensive with you in your life, ודרך זה בן אדם יכול לתקן את עצמו. אז מחצית השקל קצת מזכיר לנו את הנקודה הזאת, וקצת מדבר על זה של מחצית השקל זה חצי דרך. There's always many more goals and many more places that you can elevate to. You're never in a whole place. Okay? תמיד יש לאן להתקדם, לאן להתפתח, לאן לשאוף. I read something very interesting that Rabbi Zaks wrote, and he says, what is this whole thing about counting? Why can't you just count people in the Judaism? Why do you say אסור לספור אנשים? מאיפה זה מגיע בכלל? So he says that why do we want to count things? Why does a person want to count his money and know how much money he has? Why does a person, if he has some kind of a collection, why does he want to count everything that he has in his collection? What does the counting give us? מה אתם אומרות?
A certain satisfaction in it.
Satisfaction, maybe we can say it gives us koach, it gives us strength. When you count how many soldiers you have, אתה יכול לאמוד את הכוח, you can estimate your strength. So Rabbi Zak says that if ביהדות אנחנו לא סופרים אנשים אחד אחד, נכון? You don't say 1, 2, 3, you say פסוקים, הושע את עמך וכולי. Why? He says בגלל שביהדות, כשמוציאים את היחיד מהמניין או מהחבורה או מהקהילה, אתה לוקח לו את הכוח. לכל יחיד ויחיד יש את הכוח שלו, בזכות זה שהוא שייך לעם ישראל. ולכן ברגע שאתה סופר, אתה מנתק אותו, you disconnect him from the קהל, from the קהילה, from his כוח, ואז הוא חלש. ולכן אנחנו לא סופרים אחד אחד, אלא בתוך עם ישראל, בתוך המניין, בתוך הציבור של עם ישראל. If you want to count him anyway, you know what you do? Ask him to give. When you ask him to give, then you see his strength. Then his strength comes, אז אפשר לראות את הכוח של הבן אדם הזה. כשאתה מבקש מעם ישראל לתת, שם אתה רואה את הכוח שלו. שם אתה, מהתרומות שלו, אתה רואה את הכוח של העם, של מי שאתה רוצה לספור. So I just thought that was a very nice point that Rabbi Zaks pointed out. אחד הדברים שעם ישראל מצטיינים בהם זה בגמילות חסדים, בנתינה, נכון? עם ישראל הם ביישנים, הם גומלי חסדים, אז זה הכוח של עם ישראל, לא מהספירה, אלא דווקא מהכוח של הנתינה. Okay, יאללה, let's go back to our הפטרה now, having said all what we said. We're reading in פרק י"ב. Last week we read in פרק י"ח, okay? This week, last week, we remember we read about Achav. He was a melech me'od rasha with his wife Izebel. They killed all Nevi'ei Baal, anyone who had anything to connect, to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Torah, with Kiyum Mitzvot, they were all wiped out.
Nevi'im, not Nevi'ei Baal.
סליחה, נכון, נביאי השם, I wanted to say, thank you, אתי. נביאי השם, והם עבדו את עבודת הבעל, והיה להם את נביאי הבעל. אז קראנו את כל הסיפור הזה שבוע שעבר. השבוע אנחנו נדבר על אחאב, that he had, כנראה was his granddaughter, we're already being told about his granddaughter, her name is Atalia, and she was the mother of מלך ישראל, המלך אחזיה. ובעקבות סכסוכי מלוכה, עתליה מחליטה להרוג ולאבד את כל זרעו של החזיה. What does it mean that she is killing all the zera of Achazia? Achazia, the king Achazia, was killed in an uproar against the Melech Achaav, and Atalia murders all her ancestors, her grandchildren. Okay? היא הורגת את כולם, היא משמידה את זרע דוד. Okay? והיא תופסת את המלוכה. After her son is killed in the war, in this מרד, she becomes queen, היא עכשיו תופסת את השלטון, וכדי שהשלטון שלה לא ייפול, היא הורגת את כל מי שרק יכול לרצות את השלטון ממנה. אוקיי? אתם מבינות? אתם איתי? אוקיי? She kills everyone. It's unfathomable. You can't understand how she kills her grandchildren, her family, but she kills everyone and she wants to stay in the shilton, she wants to be in control. דרך אגב, זה מאוד מעניין that she is the only queen ששלטה על ממלכת יהודה בתקופת התנ"ך, and she's the only שליטה שהיא לא מבית דוד. But unfortunately to her, she has a sister, Yehosheva. Yehosheva is married to the Kohen Gadol. His name is Yoyada. והם הלכו בדרך הישר, בדרך השם. והיא מצליחה, Yehosheva, she is able to save the baby of Achaziah. Okay, Achaziah had a baby when he died, and the baby's name was Yehoash. And he was just a little, I don't know, an infant, a little child. And his aunt, Yehosheva, hides him in Bet HaMikdash. It's very convenient for her to hide him in Bet HaMikdash because who is the Kohen Gadol? Her husband, okay? More than that, Atalia doesn't really go to Bet HaMikdash. She has nothing to look for. She עובדת את הבעל. So for 6 years, Yehosheva is hiding this little baby that's growing up and in Bet HaMikdash, and when he turns 7, this is the time that he can become king, okay? He comes out of his hiding, and of course Yehosheva and Yehoyada are helping him, והוא תופס את המלוכה. הם כורתים ברית, they sign a treaty with עם ישראל, with בית המקדש, with הקדוש ברוך הוא, and Atalia is killed. Okay, and Yehoash becomes the king. As a little child that was הרגיש בבית בתוך בית המקדש, maybe he feels that he owes his life to בית המקדש, to the Kohanim that were looking after him. He understands, he looks around בית המקדש and he sees that this Beit HaMikdash is already 150 years old from when Shlomo HaMelech built it, אבל פגעי הזמן, פגעי התקופות, ממש הרסו את המקדש, okay? The מקדש is the שוטף, כאילו המצב של בית המקדש במצב מאוד לא טוב, okay? I don't know how to say that nicely in English, it just needs a very serious renovation.
It was run down.
It was run down, לגמרי, okay? You could see in the pasuk that I brought you from Sefer Divrei Hayamim, it says ממש like this, it says, כי עתליהו המרשעת, בניה פרצו את בית האלוהים, וגם כל קודשי בית אדוני עשו לבעלים. Anything that they could take from בית המקדש, they took in order to do עבודה זרה, עבודת הבעל, okay? So זה הרקע, זה הרקע להפטרה שלנו, עוד לא הגענו להפטרה. That was just the background to understand what we're going to read now in the הפטרה. So let's start to read the הפטרה ונתקדם לאט לאט. Okay. אז בין 7 שנים יואש במלכו. He came out of his hiding, he's 7 years old, he can become king. בשנת 7 ליהו מלך יואש, ו40 שנה מלך בירושלים. ושם אמו צביה מבאר שבע. It was just very interesting. I asked myself, why are they mentioning the name of his mother? Okay, why are we mentioning the name of the king of Yoash, the name of his mother? We know his father was a חזיהו, אז זה חשוב לנו להבין שמגיע לו את שרשרת המלוכה, אבל למה מזכירים את שם האמא? לא אומרים לנו עליה כלום. So I saw a beautiful, I'm sorry that I didn't write down who said it, but he said something beautiful. He said, if she is a mother of a king, she deserves to be mentioned. Even if there's nothing special that we can, אין לנו עדות מיוחדת של משהו, אבל כנראה שהיא עשתה הרבה דברים טובים כדי שיצא ממנה מלך. Every mother, excuse me?
אשרי יולדתו.
אשרי יולדתו. So everybody over here is a mother, and we can all look at our children and tell ourselves that we deserve to be mentioned, because something we did right. עם כל רגשות האשם שיש לנו. טוב, בוא נמשיך. פסוק ג' ויעש יואש הישר בעיני השם, כל ימיו אשר הוראו, יהוידע הכהן. He had a very good teacher, יהוידע הכהן גדול. רק הבמות לא סרו, עוד העם מזבחים ומקטרים בבמות, ויאמר יואש אל הכהנים, כל כסף הקודשים אשר יובא בית אדוני, כסף עובר איש, כסף נפשות ערכו. כסף עובר is a very interesting term that they used here, and Chazal tell us that they are referring to מחצית השקל שמנדבים לבית המקדש. And what does it mean, אשר ערכו, where's the exact words? כסף נפשות ערכו, מה זה אומר? Every person is supposed, סליחה?
פדיון נפש, לא?
זה כמו פדיון נפש, אבל קצת יותר רוחני. כל בן אדם צריך להסתכל על עצמו. Every person is supposed to look at himself and say, I want to be in a connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I want a relationship. I understand that I have to להתאמץ and give for it. אני צריך להביא לבית המקדש את ערך הכסף שאני שווה. I have to look at myself and see what is my spiritual world, what is my worthy, and give money according to that. Okay. כל כסף אשר יעלה על לב איש להביא בית אדוני. ויקחו להם הכהנים איש מאת מקורו, והם יחזקו את בדק הבית, וכל אשר ימצא שם בדק. Okay. Yoash has a new startup. He looks around at Beit HaMikdash, he sees that it's run down, it needs a very serious renovation, and he doesn't know where he's going to get the money from, because Am Yisrael are not bringing trumot. There's no way to say, ויקחו לי תרומה. הם עובדי הבעל, הם רחוקים מהקדוש ברוך הוא, הם לא מגיעים אפילו לבית המקדש, הקשר עם הקדוש ברוך הוא ממש נחלש, the connection with God is weak. So what is he going to do? So he said he has an idea, and he says like this. He says, I'm going to ask every Kohen to go around to his neighbors, to his family, to his friends, and ask them on a very personal level to give money to Beit HaMikdash. The Kohanim are going to get now money in their hand. What are they going to do with the money? They're going to take it for themselves. All the money that you are able to raise, take to yourself. בתמורה, את יודעת מה זה בתמורה, June?
No.
In Etty, can you help me? בתמורה.
In exchange.
In exchange.
Exchange, okay.
Oh, it's not exactly in exchange, but Hebrew is just such a beautiful. Etty, you're on mute, Etty.
Sorry. It's the right word in English is exchange. I'll give you this in exchange for you giving me this.
נכון, אבל זה לא מדויק like an exchange, because בתמורה means that, okay, you're going to have all this money, and now I'm expecting from you to renovate Beit HaMikdash, to use it in order to fix anything that needs fixing in Beit HaMikdash. It's not going to be really equal, the money that they get and the money that they're going to have to lay out in order to fix Beit HaMikdash. So בתמורה אומר את זה, exchange זה אולי קצת יותר מדויק, אבל לא משנה. זה הרעיון של יואש, okay? You go on a very personal level to different people, neighbors, friends, whatever, collect money, use the money for yourself, but when you come to Beit HaMikdash, please fix Beit HaMikdash. Okay? Are we all thinking the same question? what on earth did Yoash think to himself?
Right.
נכון?
Why would
Naive.
anybody give? Why would anybody
Naive.
give under those circumstances?
What else?
No, it will stay by the Kohanim. Why should he put it to, why, if they're allowed to take it for themselves, and by the way, on the way, fix the Beit HaMikdash. So why should they fix the Beit HaMikdash? Don't use it for themselves.
בדיוק, אוקיי? כלומר, שנייה, יואש מטיל את כל אחריות ההחזקה לכהנים. The Kohanim that work in Beit HaMikdash are going to have to renovate and it's their responsibility, okay? And on the other hand, בעצם יואש wants to give them what we call in Hebrew a tamritz, an incentive, okay? I think it's very similar today when you have people that are sitting in a room with many telephones and they're all making phone calls and recruiting money and donations for their movement, and they get a certain percentage of the money. So maybe this is the first thing that Yoash is thinking to himself. People know each other. The tamritz, the Kohanim are going to go out and really make a big effort to collect money because they know that they're going to enjoy it. And if they feel mechuyavim, obligated to this scheme that we have, so then I know that they're going to really renovate the Beit HaMikdash.
But there's more than that. If you think about the time that they're living in, okay, and most of the people are Oldei Baal, so the Kohanim aren't getting the Matanot Kuhuna.
Oh, they're not getting anything. They're poor.
So they need money for themselves, for their...
נכון, יפה מאוד. תודה שרה על הדבר הזה, את צודקת מאוד. They're really desperate for this money. Okay? אז זה הרעיון הראשון.
Shira, I don't understand why it's a problem asking the Kohanim, because even though Yehoash is the king, it was the Kohanim's responsibility with the whole Beit HaMikdash and to be in touch with the people and to watch over them and to reach out to them and to make sure they didn't fall. So if anything, it makes sense that they're the ones that should have to be responsible to bring it back.
נכון, but of course that initially they are responsible, but they are not motivated. They are not doing their job. Look at the Beit HaMikdash. It's run down. It's destroyed from everyone took and did.
So you're asking them, why is it that they're not motivated? I don't understand the question.
Okay, the question is, Yoash looks at Beit HaMikdash and he says, I need now לא רק הוצאות שוטפות, okay? Not just איך אומרים, זה not just continuous money for עבודת המקדש. צריך לעשות פה עבודה יסודית. I need a lot of money. We need to rebuild everything that was destroyed here from Atalia. Okay. It's really run down. It's not only to pay the bills, it's to fix the faucets, it's to rebuild the מעיינות, I don't know, כאילו כל הקרשים, צריך פה הרבה כסף. איך אני אשיג את הכסף הזה? איך אני אשפץ את בית המקדש? Okay, זה השאלה. So he thought of this startup of asking the Kohanim, and if they're going to have, if they're going to have this tamritz, this incentive, then they probably will be able to recruit a lot of money.
Yeah, but how much of that, if they're poor and they need money to live, how much of the money that they raise is actually, are they going to actually feel that they want to give? They're not going to give much.
זו שאלה טובה, ועוד מעט נראה את התשובה. So we'll see in the פסוקים the תשובה. But first, let's try to understand what Yoash wanted. So the first thing was that he thought that this is going to really work because זה ילהיב אותם. Okay? הכהנים יש להם תמריץ, אז הם יעשו את זה. The second thing that he wants over here is לערב את העם. Because the Kohanim are going to go out to their friends, to their family, and tell them about מצב בית המקדש, והוא מקווה שזה יעשה אצלם משהו, גם ירצו להשתתף בתיקון בית המקדש. הוא מנסה לעורר את העם לקחת חלק, okay? To participate, to want this goal, to אולי איזשהו איזון בתוך העם. Everyone will give a little bit money and then we'll have some equivalence over here between the people. Yoash is really trying very hard to get the people active in בית המקדש, אוקיי? אוקיי, טוב, soon we're going to read in the פסוקים שהשיטה הזאת לא שרדה. It didn't work for him. We don't know exactly why. Okay, maybe we can estimate that again. Maybe at the beginning they were able to לגייס קצת כספים, אבל בשביל השוטף כבר לא היה להם. שוטף is continuous. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Wasn't anybody in charge of all these Kohanim, and you know, when they would collect it and they would give an equal percentage to everybody of what they collected?
No, it doesn't say that at all.
They had to be honest, and I mean, it's putting too much on them. You're depending too much on the Kohanim to be honest and say what they
maybe think. That's why it didn't work, Eti. We don't really know. I looked up and Chazal said that they don't really know why it didn't work. אנחנו לא כתוב למה. האם הם לא יצאו לגייס את הכסף? האם הכהנים לא השתמשו נכון בכסף? זה לא כתוב, זה מאוד מעניין, זה לא כתוב בכלל.
לא כתוב גם כן, okay, יהוידע was the Kohen Gadol, and he was Yehoash's teacher, but maybe he should have involved Yehoyada. It doesn't tell us that Yehoyada was part of this tahalich. Maybe if he had been part of the tahalich, maybe there would have been more הצלחה.
יכול להיות, אבל אנחנו נמשיך הלאה. בוא נקרא עוד קצת. Let's see what happens. אוקיי, פסוק זין. והיא בשנת 23 למלך יהואש, לא חיזקו הכהנים את בדק הבית. אוקיי? לא כתוב מה קרה, רק אומרים לנו שהרעיון שלו לא הצליח. ויקרא המלך יהואש, שרה, ליהוידע הכהן, ולכהנים. אוקיי? He's calling now יהוידע הכהן and the כהנים, ויאמר עליהם, מדוע אינכם מחזקים את בדק הבית? בדק הבית is just a term of upkeeping בית המקדש, of fixing, okay? And now look what he tells them. Look, it didn't happen. ועתה, and now, אל תיקחו כסף מאת מכריכם. Don't take money from people that you know. כי לבדק הבית תיתנו. ויאותו הכהנים לבלתי קחת כסף מאת העם, ולבלתי חזק את בדק הבית. Stop taking money. We're not doing this anymore. Okay? Now he has a different idea, a new idea. Look how initiating he is. He's really trying. And this is his new idea. ויקח יהוידע הכהן ארון אחד, ויקוב חור בדלתו, ויתן אותו אצל המזבח מימין בבוא איש בית אדוני, ונתנו שם הכהנים שומרי הסף את כל הכסף המובא בית אדוני. This is the new plan. יהוידע הכהן is going to take a big ark, a big teva or something. I think it's like going to be a very big קופת צדקה. קופת צדקה מאוד גדולה. Okay, they're going to make a hole in it on one side, and they're going to put it right next to the mizbeach. Why next to the mizbeach? If you remember from 2 weeks ago, or it was that last week I think, that the mizbeach is the main place where all of the Am Yisrael come when they want to bring their korbanot. Okay, and whoever is going to come to Beit HaMikdash and bring a korban, he's going to put some money in the, how do you say it in Yiddish? בחריץ של הקופת צדקה?
פושקה.
In the pushka, דיוק. Okay, and this money is going ישירות to the bank account of בית המקדש. And sure enough, זה מצליח. This works. ויהי כראותם כי רב הכסף בארון. Wow. They saw that the קופת צדקה already is overflowing. And what happens then? ויעל סופר המלך והכהן הגדול. The king sends, either the king comes or maybe he comes with the person and the כהן גדול. ויצורו וימנו את הכסף, they count the money, הנמצא בית השם, ונתנו את הכסף המתוקן, the money that was counted already, על ידי עושי המלאכה, המופקדים בית השם. And now they're gonna pay the money to the different בעלי מלאכה that have to fix בית המקדש. And now they're even telling us who they paid the money to. ויציעו לחרשי העץ ולבונים העושים בית השם ולגודרים ולחוצבי האבן ולקנות עצים ואבני מחצב לחזק את בית השם. ולכל אשר יצא על הבית לחזקה. אוקיי? אך לא where didn't they spend the money? אך לא יעשה בית אדוני סיפות כסף, מזמרות, מזרקות, חצוצרות, כל כלי זהב וכלי כסף מן הכסף המובא בית אדוני. They didn't splurge, they didn't spend it on making mizrakot from gold and all the things they used in Avodat HaMikdash. They only used it for bedek habayit, for fixing and the continuous upcaring of Beit HaMikdash. Okay? כי לעושי המלאכה ייתנו וחיזקו בו את בית אדוני, ולא יחשבו את האנשים אשר ייתנו את הכסף על ידם לתת לעושי המלאכה, כי באמונה הם עושים. זה משפט מאוד חשוב. Why is it working? Because כאשר יש נהלים ברורים, נהלים is regulations, okay? When there are regulations, when there are goals, when we know exactly and the money is counted coming in and going out, how it's being sent, everything is with kabbalot, okay? באמונה הם עושים. There's no, אין חשדות, אין טענות, there's no speculations, אין כלום, אוקיי? האנשים מאמינים במה שהם עושים, יש תחושה של שיתוף, של הזדהות, אין אתגר של שגרה, אלא כל חודש נכנס הכסף הזה ואפשר לתקן את בית המקדש, אוקיי? הכל עובד כמו שצריך. עוד מעט אנחנו ממש נראה מה קרה פה, אוקיי? כסף אשם וכסף חטאות לא יובא בית אדוני לכהנים יהיו. זהו. התוכנית הזאת עובדת, and this is the way the הפטרה finishes, אוקיי? וקודם כל בכלל, I want to ask you a different question. Why on earth, in ספר מלכים, when we're talking about the different meluchot, the different rulers and whoever's in control, and avodat Hashem, and it's a spiritual book, זה לא הספר כלכלה, it's not an economic book over here. Why do Chazal see the importance of bringing over here the different ניסיונות, the different ways that יואש is trying to לתקן את בית המקדש, וממש נכנסים לפרטי פרטים. למה? שאלה מעניינת, נכון? It's an interesting question if you stop to think about it. Why on earth are all these details getting such an important place in our הפטרה, פרשת שקלים?
Again, I think it's trying to make a connection between the people and the Beit HaMikdash. Because it was a time in the history where people were not that connected. All of Mamlechet Yehuda was not connected to the Beit HaMikdash, באופן עקרוני. Because the Malachim put up all the bamot so that the people should not come to the Beit HaMikdash, should not come to Yerushalayim. So he's trying to reconnect the people to the Beit HaMikdash by whatever he can do.
נכון, but I want to say another thing, okay? את צודקת מאוד, אני רק רוצה להגיד נקודה אחרת שאני חשבתי עליה, and the only connection שאני יכולה להגיד שאני צודקת, שנותן לי את האומץ להגיד את הדברים, is that it says money is also called damim, okay? כי אדם, ואדם הוא הנפש. And I want to say like this, I think one of the very main things that Chazal are saying over here, that money זה לא מילה גסה. כסף זה לא דבר הס מלהזכיר. Is there a nice way to say that in English? Okay, but Joan, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I didn't understand that.
I think that Chazal want to tell us that even though we're dealing with money right now, okay, כשאני אומרת כסף זה לא מילה גסה, money is a word that you're allowed to use, okay? The whole thing of money זה לא דבר פסול. I think being educated in religious, במסגרות החינוך הדתיות, אז כסף זה דבר מאוד חומרי, כסף זה דבר שגורם לרמאויות, כסף זה דבר שלילי, נכון? ככה אנחנו, לא יודעת, ככה אני בכל אופן גדלתי מאוד, אני חורב, אוקיי? כסף זה דבר חומרי, it's earthy, it's materialistic, you don't have to make money in your life, והרבה מהדיבורים האלה, ואני חושבת שחז"ל רוצים להגיד לנו פה משהו אחר. כסף זה לא מילה גסה, כסף is, it's not a bad thing to have money, but you have to know when we're talking about כספי ציבור, money of the ציבור, you have to know how to work with it. איך להשתמש בכסף שזה יוליד דברים טובים, שזה יוליד את החיבור, כמו ששרה אמרה, אל המקדש ואל הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shira?
Yes.
That's why, like in the Orchot HaTzadikim, it says that when you want to give tzedakah, like, you know, even like either like the Machatzit HaShekel, like when you give tzedakah, if you imagine on the other end when you're giving that Hashem is on the other side, then you'll be more generous and you'll give more because you'll know it's not mine and you're giving more. But also, like when we talk about Noach also, wasn't it that what was the one onesh that they had was Hamas? And isn't Hamas like that they were stealing and they didn't have respect for each other's money and property? Like that was the one thing that they got such a big punishment of the Mabul.
נכון, גזל וחמאס. It's stealing from each other. כי רבי נחמן says it has a lot of thought about it. He says, כי אדם הוא הנפש. You can't disconnect it. When it comes to money, people, act very, very differently, some in extreme ways. נכון? זה כסף זה דבר מאוד גדול. וחז"ל רוצים פה לבנות לנו את היחס הנכון אל הכסף, בדיבור הזה על כספי ציבור. אוקיי? יש פה דגש מאוד גדול על כספי ציבור, and how you initiate the am to take a part. When you want to raise money, okay, how do you do it? What is the right way to do it? The way June described at the beginning of the shiur is not our Jewish way, okay? What is the Jewish way? We can learn right over here. We have 3 elements over here, okay? The first one is that there should be clarity or transparency, okay? הארון, the קופת צדקה, ממוקם ממש בגלוי, בדיוק ליד המזבח, out there, everyone can see it, okay? Anytime you open it up, it's not one person comes and opens it up. There are always 2 or 3 people there. There's a Gemara in Baba Batra that explains how it was done. The king came, the Kohen Gadol came, they would count the money together, they would write it down, okay? They would distribute it. There was a lot of clarity. In Hebrew, we call it shkifut, okay? The second klal of כספי ציבור is ייעוד הכספים למטרות מוגדרות. It's not money that the Kohanim can use, whatever. No, we knew exactly where the money would be, how the money would be spent. It would be going towards all בעלי המלאכות, and it says, חוטבי העצים והחוצבים את האבן, and every person, כאילו ממש הגדירו מראש איך יבזבזו את הכסף הזה, how they'll lay out the money. And they also said that they're not going to spend the money on the chatzotzrot, on the mizrakot, on anything that's motorot. Motorot is like to splurge or things that you don't really need, okay? Of course, if there was money left over, then we could use it for that. אז זה היה הכלל השני, והכלל השלישי זה אמון, trust, okay? When there is clarity, when we know the goals, when we know how the money will be spent, then there must be trust. If there's no trust, then we can't deal with כספי ציבור. Everyone has to feel that they are all full of trust. I don't know if you say that in English. They have trust in this process, in the way things are being done, in the people that are running the system. Okay? כולם ישרים קו. אז כשכולם מיישרים קו, when everything is very ברור, when everything is very clear, then הם באמת מצליחים לגייס את העם לבית המקדש. זה מצליח להם, it works for them, okay? And it even says, it reminds us of Moshe, Moshe said די, okay? קלה מן העם. אבל over here it says, when they saw that the money was already overflowing, this קופת צדקה, then they had to take out the money. So we learn from this הפטרה that it worked. If you want to get the am to contribute, to be part, to have enthusiasm, to cooperate, כאילו באמת להיות חלק, you have to know how to do it. Okay? What worked for Am Yisrael in the Midbar, for the Mishkan, doesn't work today, where different people, התנאים כבר שונים, הכל אחרת. You have to understand that it's not going to work in the same way. I think we spoke about it when שלמה המלך בנה את בית המקדש, שהוא קצת פישל בזה, he missed out on לערב את העם בבניין המקדש, הוא הטיל עליהם מס, remember? הוא הטיל מס עליהם, and the people didn't like it. So over here, Yehoash finds the exact balance between כאילו את האיזון הדק שבין לגייס את העם בתשוקה ובהתלהבות ולתרום לבית המקדש, לשפץ את בית המקדש, זה גם כן עונה על הבעיה של ההוצאות השוטפות, the continuity of בית המקדש, of all the different things that they're going to need money for. He really found the right balance and the way to לשתף את כל העם בסיפור הזה.
But I think he also protected the people's anonymity because nobody knew how much they were putting into the box. Everybody gave what they felt that they could give.
נכון, יפה מאוד, תודה רבה. נכון, שכחתי להגיד את זה. You can also see that it says another פסוק from דברי הימים that I brought for you at number 3, וישמחו כל השרים וכל העם ויביאו וישליכו לארון עד לחלה. אוקיי? זה באמת הצליח, it really worked for them, and the anonymity, זה מאוד יפה שרציתי להגיד את זה, תודה שהזכרת לי, כי זה שומר על השוויון בין האנשים. They're very, we spoke about, ויקחו לי תרומה, that one of the disadvantages is how do I feel when I can't give like my neighbor. And over here in the קופה, כל אחד שם לפי מה שנראה לו מתאים. And it's working. It's working for them. Together with this, it's not only dealing with the בעיה of the renovation of בית המקדש וההוצאות השוטפות, they're also dealing with, like in the more psychological point of reconnecting עם ישראל to בית המקדש, the intimacy with הקדוש ברוך הוא, and also for every person to feel equal with the other people around him. זה מאוד מאוד חשוב לגרום לכל בן אדם להרגיש שווה, שיש שוויון בין כולם. כולנו תורמים את מחצית השקל, את הכסף שכל אחד שם, we're all equal. זו נקודה מאוד מאוד חשובה. ההפטרה של שקלים, אוקיי, מדברת, ההפטרה עצמה, כלומר הקריאה של המפטיר עצמו מדבר על מחצית השקל, לגרום לאנשים להרגיש את השוויון הזה. And this brings us to the last point that I wanted to say, that it's not only renovating בית המקדש ולתקן וכולי בדק הבית, לא מספיק התיקון הפיזי, צריך גם את התיקון הרוחני. ויואש מצליח על ידי התיקון הפיזי להביא את התיקון הרוחני. Should I say that in English?
No.
Thank you. אוקיי? התיקון הפיזי, קצת מזכיר אולי את הפסוק אחרי את האמרה, אחרי המעשים נמשכים הלבבות. יש לזה השפעה פנימה גם על האנשים, when בית המקדש is renovated and everything is standing and working, זה דבר נהדר. I saw a very interesting Rashi that I wanted to say before, but I'm saying to myself that I don't want to end the shiur with the Rashi, but I'm going to say the Rashi because it's very interesting. Rashi says at the beginning of the Haftarah, it says about Yoash, ויעש יואש הישר בעיני השם כל ימיו אשר הוראו יהוידע הכהן. Okay, it says כל ימיו. And Rashi says, do you know what really happened at the end? The people were so happy with Yehoash, because they renovated בית המקדש and it was working and people were bringing the money. באמת הצליחו להתחבר חזרה לקדוש ברוך הוא. And people came to Yoash and said, wow, you know, we think that you are God himself. You are קדוש ברוך הוא בעצמך. אתה עושה הישר בעיני השם. תיקנת את בית המקדש. תיקנת את המצב. אני חושב שאתה הקדוש ברוך הוא. And Rashi says that that's where Yoash fell. אבל אני לא יודעת. אבל זה רש"י. So לא נעים לי לסיים באמירה כזאת שלילית. אז אולי רק נגיד עוד דבר אחד that Sarah mentioned before about the tzedakah. I think that is very interesting that there are many levels of tzedakah. There are many ways to give tzedakah. And each level is higher than the other. There are 8 different levels. And the highest level, of course, is not לתת צדקה באנונימיות. I think that's like maybe number 7. Number 8 is actually giving the poor person a job, helping him to find a job. And שהוא יצליח לפרנס את עצמו. And I think maybe we can say that in a way, Yoash was able to give בית המקדש a way to לפרנס את עצמו. Because the minute that people were coming up to בית המקדש to give a korban, the minute that he connected them to בית המקדש, זה כבר מזין את עצמו. He doesn't have to go out and ask for money. He was causing people to come to בית המקדש, to connect to הקדוש ברוך הוא, to bring קורבנות, ודרך זה הוא הזין את הקופת צדקה. The money was going into the קופה, and it was always getting refilled. That's what it says in ספר דברי הימים. הוא ממש כאילו הביא את הצדקה ברמה הגבוהה ביותר לבית המקדש, שבית המקדש הזין את עצמו, הוא לא היה צריך לצאת ולחפש את הצדקה. אז באמת הוא השיג הרבה מטרות, there were many goals that he was able to achieve, connecting עם ישראל back to בית המקדש, connecting עם ישראל to the קדוש ברוך הוא, making the individual, causing the individual to feel worthy and equal with all his other friends in the קהילה, and the kohanim were getting their parts again. הוא ממש הצליח לתקן את כל הסיפור הזה. והמלך, והאימא שלו, צביה, her name was צביה, היא גידלה אותו לתוך הדבר הזה בעצם. היא ילדה אותו וכנראה שנתנה לו את המורשה של התכנים כדי להגיע. She inherited something in her גנטיקה של התכונות שהוא הצליח להגיע לזה. אז באמת הסיפור מאוד יפה ולמידה על כספי ציבור. ובעזרת השם, the next time that anyone has to do with raising money and recruiting תורמים וכולי, we should know this is the right way to do things. אז בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח. You should have a good week and stay healthy, ושנשמע בשורות טובות.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week בעזרת השם.
Bye.
Bye bye.